Hello, we are here to discuss a very important concept. Welcome back to Oikonomia. We are going to discuss here the special Rupee Vostro account. What does it mean by the special Rupee Vostro account? What is the relevance of the very same today? Let's have a discussion into these questions in today's session. Let's get started for the same. Here we could see that there exists some additional arrangement which is required for the existing system that uses freely convertible currencies. We are living in a scenario of globalization. As a result of the very same, the international trade is something that plays a very important role, and the FDI, foreign direct investment, that is also something which is relevant and important in our present situation. Here we require the international currencies, and here we can see that this type of mechanism would be working as a complementary system so as to facilitate transactions which could not be executed through the existing banking setup. The existing banking setup would be having certain limitations. And when it comes to the present system that we have some additional systems to the existing banking setup. And one such system is what we are going to discuss today. Moving to Vostro account. What is an Vostro account? A Vostro account is a kind of account that domestic bank would be holding. So this is held by domestic bank, for whom it is for the foreign banks that the domestic bank would be holding such an account, and this is done in the domestic currency only, or the currency of the domestic nation. Domestic currency means currency of domestic nation. Now, the foreign banks here would be acting as an agent for providing financial services, and this is being done on behalf of domestic bank. You might have understood the kind of interdependence that happened between the domestic bank and foreign bank as a result of this particular kind of account, and this mechanism would be enabling the domestic bank to provide some international banking services to clients, and this is being done on behalf of foreign banks. Again, you could see the kind of interdependence. And here domestic bank would be doing certain duties. It would be facilitating the transfers. It would be conducting business-based transaction. It would accept deposit. This is one of the primary feature and function of domestic banks. And also it would be gathering some documents which are relevant in this scenario. Move to the significance of Vostro account. When it comes to Vostro account, this would be reducing the demand for foreign exchange for the settlement of trade flows. And whenever this is being done, this will be reducing the dependence on foreign currency. You know that we are basically using US dollars in the international arena as a result of internationalization of US dollars in international trade. But this will reduce the dependence on US dollars when it comes to international transactions. And also this would be making a country less vulnerable to external shock. If you remember, there was a very strong crisis that happened in 2008 with respect to financial arena. The 2008 financial crisis. And this has got implications on every economy in the world. And this type of shocks, the effects of such shocks would be reduced whenever you have these type of accounts. And also this would enable and ensure timely payments. You cannot prolong the date of repayment. Once you borrow, you need to repay it on time, and that is also ensured here. This would be helping the domestic banks to gain wider access to foreign financial market, and also this will help the domestic bank to serve its international clients. Since we are dealing with globalization, we could see that a domestic bank would be having clients not only from the domestic nation but also from the foreign nation. Again we are discussing significance. Vostro account is not restricted to bank used by other entities such as insurance companies, business entities, etc., in order to keep fund with the other entity. In the case of Vostro account, this is something which is used by banks. This is something that is used by insurance entities, insurance company. Domestic banks are involved, foreign banks are involved, so all can deal with transfers, all can deal with deposit. So insurance company cannot deal with deposit and credit creation is something that could be done by only banks, whether it is foreign or domestic. Okay, but insurance companies can take part in something like withdrawals, etc., on behalf of the corresponding bank that is involved here. Again, moving to the functioning of this particular system. Actually, as per the framework, this consists of three important functions. The first function is called invoicing. Second function is something is related to exchange rate, and then the third function is related to final settlement. Moving to invoicing. This is something that deals with entering of export, import, things like that. And this is denominated and invoice in terms of INR. INR stands for Indian National Rupee. Indian National Rupee. Okay, so you will be making all your payments in terms of INR only. And what is exchange rate here? The rate at which you exchange your currency for the currency of the other nation. So this is the rate at which currency exchange takes place. Now, the final settlement. The final settlement, as I told you, this is something that would be taken place not in terms of dollars but in terms of Indian National Rupee or INR. This would reduce the usage of US dollars. Again, you can see the domestic importers are required to make payment in INR into the special Vostro accounts. And this has been done by considering the corresponding bank against the invoices. What is invoice? The kind of bill that you will be getting. Bill for payment. Bill that we use for paying, or bill you consider for making payment. And here the domestic exporters would be paying. What the importers would be actually paying the exporters. Whenever you export, what happens? Whenever you export, those nations that import will be importing nations will pay you. Importing nations will make payment. Isn't it? So domestic exporters are paid in Indian National Rupee only from the balances which is designated with respect to the correspondent bank. Okay. And moving to the legal framework of Vostro accounts. It will be considering all the international transaction or cross-border transaction. International transactions. And this is being done with the guidelines which are given under the Foreign Exchange Management Act, FEMA, of 1999. I have already done a video on the difference between FEMA and FERA. So if you don't know anything about FEMA, or if you are not aware regarding FEMA, you can refer to that particular video. I'll be providing the link of the very same in the description box. So when it comes to Vostro account, this is being controlled by the guidance which are provided under the Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999. What is the eligibility criteria, or what are the eligibility criteria of banks here? Banks from partner nations are required to approach an authorized domestic dealer bank. So the international bank should have a tie-up with some domestic bank, and this domestic bank should then get approval from apex banking regulator, and it should first of all provide the details of the arrangement, and by giving the details of the arrangement, the apex bank would be providing approval. And the domestic bank should also ensure that the bank to which it has got a tie-up, the foreign bank, this is not from a nation mentioned in the updated final action task force public statement on high risk and non-cooperative jurisdictions. So it should be from a low risk nation or a medium risk nation. It should not be from a high risk nation. It is the role of the domestic bank to see that the partner nation or the partner bank, it is not from a high risk nation. Okay. Again, the authorized bank can open so many special escrow accounts for different banks. Okay. So here what happens is that balances in the account should be repatriated in something called a freely convertible currency, or else you can consider the currency of the partner nation. It would depend upon the underlying transaction, the kind of guidelines that would be ruling the underlying transaction for which the account would be credited. So all these technical aspects should be taken into consideration. By saying that, we are moving on to the types of accounts that we can have under this scenario. The first type is Vostro accounts. Actually, this is maintained in the domestic currency. Some related accounts are also there. Nostro account. What is Nostro account? This is maintained in foreign currency. But our topic of discussion in this video is Vostro account, maintained in domestic currency. But there is another type of account known as Nostro account, which is maintained in foreign currency. The third type of account is called Loro account. What is it? Actually, this is a kind of current account maintained by the domestic bank for some other domestic bank, and here in the form of a third party account. Okay, this is unlike Vostro or Nostro account. In the case of Vostro account, you have only two parties. Again, in the case of Nostro account, only two parties. But what about Loro? You have to consider the role of a third party also. Let me give you a little information related to FEMA. It stands for the Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999. It's a kind of civil law which deals with the foreign exchange market in India. It is specifically related to India. Okay, and as per this particular act, the central government has got all the rights to regulate, not saying that control, it is regulation, regulating the flow of payment to and from a person who is situated outside the nation. So it shows both money movement from domestic nation to another nation and money movement from another nation to domestic nation. Two flow mechanism is considered. Both flows are considered here. Again, in this case, the financial transactions related to the foreign exchanges, foreign securities, this cannot be carried out without getting approval from the Foreign Exchange Management Act. And as per this act, RBI or the Reserve Bank of India has got all the right to place some restrictions when it finds that some transactions from capital account are not carried out in the required manner. It can put some restrictions on that particular transaction or account. So the main empowered agency or the main ruling authority or monitoring authority or supervisory body here is the Reserve Bank of India, which would be checking and monitoring things. That is all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you could understand something related to Vostro account. You can join our free Telegram community. I'll be providing the link in the description box. You can join the community and also discuss your doubts there. Also, you can download the Learn Oikonomia app. For that also, I'll be providing the link in the description box. That is it. I request you to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos. Thank you.